Hello, my name is Caine, and this is my partner Juan.
Hello everyone, my name is Juan.
And we're here to talk about The Stranger and why we believe that Mersault's conviction of killing and murdering an Arab is not an example of justice.
Now, we all know that trials are supposed to be based on justice, but there are a lot of trials which aren't. Some trials have bias, and some trials show discrimination against others. We're going to take a deep dive into this, and we're going to talk about Mersault and his trial and why it shouldn't be justice.
First, let's talk about justice. What is the meaning of justice? In literal terms, justice is a judge or magistrate, in particular, a judge of the Supreme Court, state, or county.
But a better way to look at this is that justice is making sure people in society receive what they deserve, based off what they have done or what has happened to them. Not all justice is bad.
But not all justice is good. In The Stranger, the court focuses on Mersault's behavior throughout the scenes and stories, rather than using real evidence and fairness in the story.
One quote we found in the book, which supports our claim, is that, it's a little long, so we apologize for that. Bear with us. The prosecutor had his back half turned to me, and without looking at me, he states that, within the court's permission, he would like to know whether I had gone back to the spring by myself, intending to kill the Arab. No, I said. Well then, why was I armed? And why did I return precisely to that spot? I said it just happened that way. And the prosecutor noted, in a nasty voice, that will be all for now.
The prosecutors went straightly to assuming that Mersault went to the beach just to kill the Arab and nothing else, rather than what really happened, which was an impulsive act by Mersault. The sun's glare on the Arab's sharp knife, which made the act seem more hateful than it actually was. This shows that Mersault had no real voice in the trial. It also indicates that unfairness and quick to judge with no justice in this trial.
I'd like you guys to all think for a second. If you were to step in Mersault's shoes for a second, you came to the beach with your new boyfriend/girlfriend, and you want to have a nice time with your partner. But a person with a knife comes up, and after all the stories you've been hearing lately, they pull a knife on you. What would you do? How would you react? Would you let them be there? Or would you try to calm down the situation, and if potentially meaning killing someone, then having to? But it was protection, for him and the person he was.
Now personally, I would calm down the situation. But given the time period and the situation, we can see why Mersault did, and we understand why he was so much quicker to react when he saw the Arab. While he should get some type of punishment for what he has done, he should not be given the death sentence and a life sentence. In this trial, there is never a time that they bring up the fact that the Arab had a weapon of their own and could have possibly killed Mersault first. The knowledge to see this is one of the ways that shows there is no justice, only bias and want for revenge towards an Arab.
We'd like to switch over to a different piece of evidence we know will be important towards this case. The prosecutor points out that Mersault's lack of religion. They focus more on the fact that he's an atheist than the actual crime that he committed. The prosecutor takes his lack of religion as a way to define his character. He believes he's empty and even goes as far as to call him the Antichrist.
Nowadays, religion isn't looked at as a way to define your character, but in the 1940s, religion is almost society's expectations for how you live your life. They judge Mersault for being an atheist, using it against him in his trial. As he's being convicted of killing what, based on the information in the book is telling us, is most likely a Muslim.
The Muslim wasn't judged for his culture. It was just Mersault being judged for his religion. This shows a lot of bias towards him, and it's just a badge of them wanting to give him a sentence. This shows the hatred towards Mersault and his religion, and not the actual crime. This shows how the prosecutor was unfair, how Mersault didn't really get what he deserved. He should have got a punishment, but it should not have been a life sentence because of a judge who wants to judge him based off his religion.
Now, we'd like you all to think, how would you judge a convict in America who is Russian. He killed an American who had a gun on him, and all the Russian had in his pocket was a knife. So before letting the American do anything, he struck first and killed the American. We'd like you guys to think, how would you judge this man? Would you judge him as having an act of self-defense, or a bloodthirsty monster who killed an American? We'd like to move on to our next piece of evidence. Now, we all know, or at least we hope you all know, how Mersault reacted at his mother's funeral. He showed zero emotion. He didn't even know what day she passed away. To most of us, you think, oh, he's a horrible son. But is that a reason to treat him the way the courtroom did?
The judge saw this almost as inhumane. He was almost very robotic. They saw him as very empty because of this. It's not normal to not react when your mother passed away in society. That's something very tragic for people. Something that people will get into alcohol, smoking, etc. When something tragic like that happens, people like to pick up those things. But Mersault didn't. He still showed no emotion. He didn't prove that he was sad about it.
While the trial is moving forward, it becomes one of the most important points the judge brings up. He used it as evidence against Mersault. This shows injustice in the courtroom. The judge wouldn't use the liable evidence to try and have a strong argument against him. Instead, he judged him based off of his past actions at his mother's funeral, which has nothing to do with the trial. This is seen as bias, as also only trying to give him a larger sentence because he is a stranger to them.
Now, I'd like you all to ask yourself, did you feel biased, whether it was positive or negative? You didn't know all the details, but you already made up your mind about how you felt about Mersault.
Now, all of you, whether you admitted it or not, had some bias towards Mersault, whether it was the killing, his religion, or the way he acted at his mother's funeral. Now think, how would a courtroom back in the 1940s react?
In the end, Mersault wasn't shown justice during this trial because of a corrupt judge who assumed he went to kill and just to kill the Arab. He judged him based off of his religion and discriminated against him. And he said he was inhumane because he didn't cry his mom's funeral. None of this was strong evidence against Mersault, showing bias and injustice. This is why Mersault getting a life sentence wasn't fair.